All right, everybody. Thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans, sponsored by Lion Bolt Media. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, essentially gathering insight, inspiration, really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else in what I'd like to consider a real estate titan. Now, I'm super excited about this one right here from our hometown in Colorado Springs, Colorado, Travis Blackman. Travis, thank you so much. An absolute honor and pleasure to have you on the show.
Hey, how we doing?
Great, my friend. And I'm so excited. I've been anticipating this episode for such a long time. You're an absolute inspiration. I mean, just the bits and pieces that I've had blessing in my life to be around you. It's just extremely amazing. And again, I cannot wait to share your story with the audience out there for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, no, it's a pleasure to be here. And I really appreciate you having me on.
For sure.
I've been excited as well.
Love it. Well, Travis, if you're ready, let's just dive into the series of questions, get everybody to get to know you deeper as a man, as a professional, the whole nine. So I guess let's just start with telling everybody a little bit about yourself.
Well, hi, everyone. My name's Travis Blackman. So I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. I'm not a native, right? But I got here as soon as I could. My dad retired and we moved out here when I was 16. So I graduated high school from Lewis Palmer High School in Monument there in 2007. And a year later, 2008, I joined the Army, because I wanted to serve my country. I felt like that was, something that I needed to do. And also, nobody else would pay me to jump out of airplanes. So,
makes sense. It makes sense.
Anyways, and then I got out of the Army 8 years later, and I was, nervous to do that, right? Because, I was going from, the Army, right? Unless we have like a revolution, you're pretty much going to get your paycheck, right?
Sure.
Versus, real estate, that you could argue, that's pretty, you're on 100% commission. So, you're not guaranteed a paycheck. So very different worlds. But anyways, I had a family friend. We were at dinner, and Tim Enders, and he asked me, he said, Travis, well, if you're thinking about getting out of the Army, why don't you come to an open house with me, and just check it out. And and at first I was like, a realtor. I'm over, and I'm not sure if. I don't know if I've never thought about that, and, but anyways, I went to the open house with him, and, he, started showing me, the different parts of the architecture of the home, and just showing me how they built the house, and just starting from hey, this is a foundation, and kind of, just went from there, and I absolutely just fell in love with it. I just thought it was the coolest thing.
Wow.
And, so from there, I started working for Adamo Homes, and then I got my license and became a licensed real estate broker. So
love it.
And that's kind of how I got my start, if you will.
Yeah. For sure. And I love that progression into your career. And again, just having a close personal friend and saying, hey, what about real estate? It's never the thought process to anybody. Very few people that I know are been on this series as far as Titans are concerned that knew when they were very little that, oh, someday I'm going to be a real estate professional. It's not what you think about, right? You think about jumping out of planes. You think about exactly what you're talking about. So to back up on that, Travis, just for a little bit, and first and foremost, thank you so much for your service. It means a lot to everybody in our country, and a special place in our hearts here in Colorado and Colorado Springs. Could you tell everybody a little bit about that, just kind of your time in that and kind of what you learned and those sorts of things before we move on to real estate?
When I was in the Army, I was an intelligence sergeant, and I got to hunt down bad guys. Which was cool. I deployed 3 times when I was in,
Wow.
and I had some pretty awesome times in the military. And I also we had some rough times too, but
Sure.
I learned a lot.
Hmm.
I learned resiliency in the Army. That is
Right.
one thing I learned there, and it really it prepared. I don't want to say prepared me, but in a sense it did for the accident that I was
Hmm.
in. So I was in an ATV accident
Okay.
2 years ago over by Lake George. I hit and severed my spinal cord.
Oh, wow.
It left me paralyzed basically from the chest down.
Hmm.
Uh, and that was an experience, let me tell you.
Sure.
I'd never been hurt like that before.
Hmm.
Uh, and I was really smart at the time. I
Hmm.
wasn't wearing a helmet.
Ouch.
Um,
You would think, right? Hindsight's 2020. Ah, bummer.
right. Yeah. If knowing now what I know now, if I could go back, right, and change things up, I would.
Sure.
But anyways, it hit me, and I got hit in the back of the head, and it put me in a coma.
Wow.
And
Hmm.
but I'm super lucky, Greg. I came out of the coma, right? I
Hmm.
still knew that. Hey, I'm Travis. I still knew my children were. I still knew my parents were, and everything. And so I was very fortunate.
Hmm.
And luckily, I still have full capability of my arms and my hands, right? So
Wow. Yeah.
it, 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 uh, it's been humbling. I'll say that it has definitely been humbling.
There's no doubt with that, Travis. And again, I definitely, it's hard for anybody to really understand, changes in life and sacrifice that's given for so many different lives and situations. And I want to go to the thought process of what you were initially speaking about is everything that you learned and became stronger and better because of your experiences that reflects into everything into your life. And there was a buddy of mine that posted up yesterday or today, and it was talking about the military and how he was very, real estate transactions don't worry him because of what he was dealing with in such a high pressure scenario into the military. That this is a walk in the park in comparison. Not that it's taken lightly, and not that it's not to the highest of standards, but there's definitely different stress thresholds that people are accustomed to. So an individual such as yourself, Travis, when you're talking about buyers and sellers and getting transactions done, I'm sure you're just even keeled all the way through and through. You've been through it, you know what's going on. There are definitely more stressful situations to be involved with. And I think that that's a huge value add for anybody who's working with you, anybody out there in the marketplace. And again, why you've been able to do what you've done to the level you do it at. And the reputation you have is just phenomenal, Travis. So again, I think all those pieces tie together, and I want everybody to really get to know you that way. So I do want to shift gears just a bit on this next question here, to give everybody a little bit more understanding into what's going on before we dive deeper into other challenges, things like that, or into those windows. It's your why, Travis. I mean, what gets you excited every day out of the bed, doing what you do to the level that you do it at? What's your why?
My why. I would have to say that it would be my kids. That's what really
Hmm.
uh, motivated me when I first got into real estate. Was
Sure.
knowing, hey, I want to build something for my kids. I want to um, build something that they can be proud of.
Hmm.
I want. It was just important to me.
Sure.
And what I really, the reason I guess I fell in love with real estate was I loved helping people.
Hmm.
I did, and I learned that in the Army, that I liked helping people. I get it. There's a lot of guys that are like, oh, I joined the Army to kill.
To blow stuff up. Yeah, sure.
And I mean, I got to blow stuff up. Don't get me wrong, and
Right.
that was cool. but
Right.
but one of the most rewarding parts of my time in the Army was helping people.
Hmm.
Helping civilians, whether it was whether we were in combat or they were starving or
Hmm.
whatever the case. I think when you help someone. right? And especially when you get nothing in return, right? That's the greatest gift you can get.
Hmm. Wow.
Just that feeling like, you know what? Out of the kindness of my heart, I went the extra mile and helped this, person. And I just think with real estate, your home, that's one of the most important things in your life, right? And
Mhm.
arguably, most Americans, right, one of their biggest investments is in
Yes.
their home. And so I just feel like, that when you're dealing with something as big as your house, you want someone that's going to go the extra mile, I just feel like when I can help people reach their housing goals,
Mm.
and just having served in the army, I had the unique, I guess, capability to kind of anticipate my clients' needs before they had them. Uh,
Wow.
because I deployed, 3 times in the army. I moved all over the country with a wife and children. So
Hmm.
I've been in those boots, literally,
Right. Hmm.
and so it was kind of cool how it just kind of happened, and I was able to, just put myself in my client's shoes and make sure that everything happened as smoothly and as efficiently as possible.
I think that's, again, breaking down those segments as to why they're beautiful. You're talking about your children, which is adding legacy and setting a foundation for them. I mean, that's a huge why, Travis, from a dad to a dad. I completely understand where you're coming from with that. And to me, there's no greater, driver and motivator above ourselves. And I think that when you're looking at it from the standpoint of really caring and serving for others, and that again speaks volumes about your character and integrity and what you do for your life and your business, which I think is fantastic. And again, anybody who's watching or listening to this, I know that they're feeling that particular. When you said you've literally been in their boots, I mean, I love the fact that, yes, we can all say, hey, walk in my shoes, but there's a difference between walking in those pair of boots versus the shoes. And I love that you've done both and you understand those things going through and through. So again, I think those whys are very compelling. Let's go into the next portion here, which is actually a crowd pleaser through the series. Everybody wants to learn from the Titans. Everybody wants to grow and scale their business and learn from some of the best and brightest minds. So Travis, if you could look back at your career thus far and pick or choose a few things that you added to your business that took it from one level to the next, where you really saw an increase or a driver, what's that look like for you? What advice would you give out there?
My advice would be, I would have to say transparency, and just the use of communication between my clients and myself.
Wow.
You just always want to have those lines open,
Mm.
as uh, I mean, and I'm sure a lot of people watching can relate, right?
Yeah.
In any real estate transaction, right? A million things could go wrong, right? And so you just you want to make sure it's as easy for your clients as possible.
Mhm.
They're going to be stressed out. They're going to be, at any point, oh my gosh, what do I do about this, or what happened here? And they're going to need you, right? And I
Mm.
find that people, other realtors that are like, oh nope, it's after 5 p.m. I don't, I'm an 8 to 5 guy, so that's it. I find that's not going the extra mile. You
Right.
just you want to have those lines of communication open and be
Mm.
there for your people. Um,
Wow.
I text back fast, but almost always.
Sure.
And I guess I've just I've always had an openness about me to where I'm able to guide my clients through the entire home sale process,
Right.
and you don't want to be judgmental
Mhm.
in it. You want to be there to guide your people and have the heart of a teacher,
Mm.
and yeah, that's what I would say really
Okay.
that set me apart. Because a lot of my business, doesn't come from a website or Zillow or Realtor.com or whatever the big ones are to get lead generation and stuff.
Mhm.
Most of my clients come from word of mouth and
Mm.
it's just referrals. And
Love it.
I just think that speaks volumes, because one of the biggest problems, right? And I
Mhm.
think you agree with me on this, Greg,
Sure.
that you have it in a real estate transaction, right? Is trust.
Hmm.
You have got to have trust. Your people have to trust you wholeheartedly,
Right.
and you have to trust them as well,
Mm.
or it's going to make for a really rocky transaction.
Well said.
So I think that when you refer someone, right, like to your friend, and you go, oh,
Mhm.
hey, call Travis Blackman. He did great by us when we bought our home. And man, he hit all the bells and whistles, and he did this. Your friend is going to go, wow, well, I trust my friend, so
Mhm.
I should probably trust, and if she trusts Travis, I'll trust Travis too. you know
Right.
and, and so it helps with that, versus oh, they just click on your name off of you know uh, an advertisement online.
Sure.
You don't know them personally. You
Right.
don't have that trust. You have to build it.
Mhm.
So I think that's just, yeah, very important to have.
I love what you said though, out there for the advice and seeing the adjustment into that the career path, but then also the time frame to actually accelerate what you're doing, and that's coming through transparency and communication. I think that so many people are in the real estate space, and not so many people that are watching or listening to this particular series, but that are out there and they're looking for the next shiny bell, right? The next shortcut, if you will. But when it comes down to it, it's just having great communication and being transparent and honest, building that trust, as Travis just said. It's not the easiest thing to do, but that's where we want to go. That's where everybody should be focusing on. All the rest of it is adding on to it, and that's okay. But I think that's the true basics, that what people really, really need to understand in this business, whether you're new or you've been doing this for 30 plus years. I think that's great advice, Travis, for everybody to really take away and focus on. If you're not, you need to be. Listen to this man right here. He's telling it like it is. So true and true all the way, Travis. So let's go into the tricky part of this particular series and interview. And it's a challenge question. Now, Travis, you have alluded a little bit to a very tough time in your life already at the very beginning. And I would love to, if you're comfortable, obviously addressing that a little bit more detail for whatever you're comfortable sharing. But just to get everybody to know, who you are and what you went through and what you overcame. But if there's anything on that as well, in reflection through, we all deal with challenges in our lives. No one's exempt, whether it's in the past, we're dealing with it now, or we haven't experienced it yet. Now, a lot of us are dealing, obviously, with this virus and everything that's been happening in our lives. And this is some of the craziest times that some of us have been through, and some of us have been through worse. So again, there's always something for perspective to learn. But just like what everybody's dealing with now, and then whatever you've dealt with in your life, Travis, we can grow and learn from, and share experience, and really have reflection on. And it's not downplaying pain or sorrow, because we never want to go through it. We never want to go through those things. But if you learn from it, you can become stronger. It's not a cliche. So if you're comfortable sharing a challenge, Travis, what's that look like for you?
Well, like I said, or a little earlier, I three-quarters of my body's paralyzed, right? So that has definitely been a huge challenge in my life. But well, Greg, I mean, I didn't get here on my own. Okay,
Sure.
I'll say that. I've been really fortunate to have just amazing men and women around me
Mm,
when tragedy did hit my life. Right,
right.
tragedy tragedy is going to happen in your life, Greg. Right, if it
Yep.
hasn't happened, it will at some point. Right,
Agreed.
why? Well, I don't know why, but that's called life. Right,
Sure. Yep.
tragedy will happen at some point. Right,
Hmm.
and so I've just been super blessed to have not only amazing nurses, doctors and therapists,
Mm.
help me kind of step up and reinterpret the world, so to speak. I really my employing broker, Eric Markowski, a fellow type, right?
Yes. Shout out to Eric. We love Eric.
Eric and his wife Victoria are
Oh,
just
yes.
people. And I can just say that people can talk a lot, right?
Mhm.
but when you put your money where your mouth is, right? When you really, step up to the plate,
Mhm.
and that's Eric and Victoria. They've been so kind to me. And when the accident happened, right? So I had 5 listings active on the market, okay,
Okay.
and I think I had 4 more under contract, right? So I had, business was full load for me,
Mhm. Yeah.
man, they're happening. When the shit hit the fan, so to speak. I'm sorry, I don't know if I can
Oh,
say that.
you're good. You're good.
It hit the fan, right? I'm in a coma, right?
Mm.
Eric came in, right, and he handled all of my business for me. Okay, just stepped up to the plate, and he stepped in and made sure that things were handled for me when I wasn't able to.
Wow.
He's been there to help and support me in any way that I can. And what I mean by that, right? I strongly feel like a brokerage. It's very important to have the support, and
Mhm.
I feel like brokerages are there to service the agents. Sorry,
Mhm. Yeah,
that is the brokerage's purpose, to service the agents, right?
for
And
sure.
whether it's been helping me put a sign up in the yard, right, or putting a lockbox on the door, when you have a spinal cord injury, okay, or you've been through combat, right? I feel like there's a propensity to sort of see the world, in a negative light and get stuck. But I don't get stuck, Greg.
Mm.
Right? If the door won't open today, look out. Come back and take the hinges off tomorrow.
Love it.
And
Yes.
like you have to have
Mm.
that drive. When life goes sour, right? When things are bad and you just, oh man, I can't be helped, and it's just,
Mm.
I'm doomed. Okay, it's all right to cry. No,
Sure.
nothing wrong with that.
Sure.
Don't stay there too long.
Mm.
You've got to pick yourself up and roll with what you've got. I can just speak. My dad. He when this accident happened to me, right.
Mhm.
I I had a lot on my mind, right? I
Mhm.
know exactly um, what the future was holding, and my marriage didn't work out, and I went through a lot of struggles. They say it's hard to reinvent yourself.
Mhm.
Uh, well, when you become paralyzed, you literally every aspect of your life you have to reinvent,
Wow.
and so it's a test and it's a trial, because life, bad things are going to happen in life. Tragedies happen, like I said.
Yep.
But I think what separates, you know, sort of the men from the boys, right, is it's not so much, right, what happened to you, right? It's, well, what are we going to do about it,
Mhm.
right? And you just got to have that, to push through. And I feel like when there's a tragedy and you're struggling in life, okay,
Mm.
I think that the person that you become in the process when you're going through that struggle, that's where the character's built, right?
Ah,
That's what life's all about. Okay.
yes.
And that's just, my personal opinion.
Mhm.
But I just think that, you've, yeah, it's just when life hands you lemons, right? You make lemonade, and getting back to what my dad said,
Yeah.
he's okay, life, just like poker, okay,
Mhm.
you're dealt a hand,
Mhm.
and if you want to win, well, you got to play the hand that you were dealt,
Wow.
right?
Yeah. It's
That
wise
just
words.
right, and that just, a lot of wisdom in that, and it just that really hit here for me, and um, yeah, I've just I've been driving on. You got to always go forward.
Mm.
Stay busy, and you got to keep going. And where there is a will, there is always a way. Always.
I mean, Travis, that thanks for sharing that, because it's not easy to air intimate things about ourselves, and especially trials and things that we're dealing with on a negative side. However, extremely inspirational to hear that and to see your expressions throughout this entire thing. Is really understanding that, gosh, I mean, everyone who's watching or listening to this has complained about something in their life, a pain that they've had in their life. And yes, it might seem like a really big thing at the time. And in your life, it might be really big. But I'm telling you, Travis, what you're talking about is major. And the fact that you didn't let it stop you, like you said, you're not stuck. You keep moving forward. If that door's not going to open, you're going to take the hinges off. That is huge. That messaging should ring through everyone's ears and just stay as a motivator to say, look, Travis didn't let it stop him. And look at what he's doing and look what he does in the real estate world, in the community that you service. Keep at it. I mean, just don't let anything get you down that way. Have a moment to reflect and say, wow, this sucks, but then keep moving on. Right. And I love that, Travis. So thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, beautiful, beautiful messaging all the way through and through. I love that. And hopefully everybody appreciates that too. I know I do. But Travis, I do want to shift gears to a softer side, and this is a softer question. So we got through the tough stuff, but this is actually one of my favorite questions. Now, I want to predicate it into this standpoint, because this isn't designed to go back and necessarily change something you went through, because like we discussed earlier, everything that you went through as a man made you who you are to today, the good and the bad. But this is an opportunity that if you had a time machine and you could travel back in time at any time frame, any age range, and give young Travis a piece of advice or two, what would you say to your younger self?
Greg, if I could go back in time and say to my younger self, I would say that to keep the faith.
Hmm.
Keep the faith and have patience, because I just think that mixture, it'll drive you into action, and a lot of times, right, when I was younger, right, especially when I first got into real estate, right, I was active duty Army, and I was in a some would argue kind of an up-tempo unit.
Okay.
So I was serving my country during the day. Okay. And then I did real estate in the evenings and weekends.
Wow.
Because, I knew that, hey, when I get out of the Army, that Army paycheck, it's going to stop. Right. Hey, the mortgage is still going to come. The electricity is still coming. The water bill's still coming.
Yes. Well said.
And I also, I have 3 children, and so I knew I needed to make it happen, and so I guess if I could go back, I know that I felt defeated some days,
Sure.
as I'm sure you have too, right? We all have our days and we have our bad days.
Everyone.
And yeah, I would just say keep the faith and keep plugging away. Consistency is really key. And you just, if you don't quit, you will win. It's just that's how it goes. And you're gonna feel defeated. Got it. But get up and go out and start door knocking. Right.
Right.
Whatever you can do, network, market yourself. Right. There's always something you can do to be improving your business.
Wow.
Always. So
Yeah.
I would say definitely keep the faith and keep plugging away.
I think that's awesome advice, Travis. And again, not just for young Travis, but everybody who's watching or listening, myself included. When we talk about that piece of advice, obviously we can't go back in time. We don't have a time machine, but we can imply and implement this stuff today. All of us, right, is keeping the faith and keep moving forward. All the little actions, as you said, that we're taking on a daily basis are to compound and ripple effect into the future. And I've had this conversation several times is, what we're doing today is going to be reflected into our business and our lives 30, 60, 90 days plus down the road. So I think that it's just that forward momentum. And again, as you said, not being stuck, but just keep moving forward. I love that messaging all the way through. It's super compelling for everybody out there who's watching and listening to this in any market, in any space, whether it's real estate, entrepreneur, business, professional, anything. So Travis, I do want to shift to this next portion. This is actually the secondary crowd pleaser in this particular series, learning as the Titans learn. So this is the feeding of the mind question. So everybody wants to know how the Titans are learning and growing intellectually, how they're feeding their minds with different types of content. So books you're reading or have read that you love or inspire you, podcasts, different influencers, coaches, if it ends up being like masterminds or conferences. Travis, how are you feeding your mind?
I do a lot of self-educating, because I think that you got to be a learner for life.
Well said.
Just that you can never you can never stop learning, truly.
Mm-hmm.
And so, recently I've been reading a book called "Everything Happens for a Reason."
Okay.
It's basically talking about how everything happens for a reason, and I know when things happen to you in life, right, you can go, why
Mm-hmm.
gosh, why am I in a wheelchair? What's the reason for that? What?
Right.
Oh man. And it's basically, I think you have to look at it kind of like the glass is half full kind of thing. So, yeah, it sucks being paralyzed, but hey, it's given me an opportunity to reach out to a whole new bracket of clients, right?
Right.
Also give me an opportunity to market myself in a whole different way.
Sure.
And so that's what I'm reading currently. I haven't finished it yet. I also I listen to a lot of Dave Ramsey and read a lot of Dave Ramsey stuff. I like his style, and I feel like the National Association of Realtors, right? They said that 92% of realtors fail, right, in their first 3 years.
Wow.
I think a big reason for that, right, is in real estate, most of the time, we don't get paid hourly, right? I don't get a paycheck every 2 weeks, right?
Right.
For me personally,
Sure.
this is my livelihood, and if I don't close, that's it. There's no, that is the nature of our business. And I think a lot of people, when they get their license, they're not ready for that change financially, right?
Sure.
Hypothetical numbers here, right? Sometimes in real estate, you can be making $20,000-$30,000 that month, and you're, woo! I'm man, la-ti-da, let's buy the Hummer, the Mercedes. I'm going to Hawaii. Let's make it happen, make it rain.
I love it.
So, and then, I once went 6 months without a paycheck.
Oh, gosh.
So that 20 grand, you go over 6 months. Well, that's not a whole lot there, right?
Right.
So I feel like a lot of times people in our industry get themselves hemmed up financially because they're not prepared, for the change in pace.
Right.
Right. Just because you made 20 grand that month, that doesn't mean go buy a brand new Camaro. Okay.
Right.
No.
It'd be nice, but
It's just, so I feel like, anyways, financially, you have to be prepared for that. And I'm not in this life to make Visa rich, right? I want to be Visa, right?
Well said. Listen to that. Mark that down, everybody. That was great.
The money you give away in interest every month, right? Just thinking, well, I'll just pay the minimum payment and, I'll be good. Wrong. Pay that thing off, get it out of here.
Yeah.
And so, I do like Dave Ramsey's stuff as well. I'm trying to think. Oh, Frederick Eklund. Do you know who?
Yeah. From $1 Million Listing New York. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I just read his book called The Cell. I thought that was pretty good too.
Very cool.
So, I don't, I don't have a bachelor's degree or a master's or doctorate, right? I have an associate's degree
Sure.
in intelligence operations. What does that do for me in real estate? But I got lungs in the artery, So I just find in our business, you really, if you ever meet someone, right, that says, "Oh, I have a doctorate in real estate," run, right?
Run. You have too much time on your hands. You haven't been doing a lot of transactions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to learn hands-on, and you have to learn before you earn.
Wow. Love it.
Our business, at least it's been my experience.
That's so true.
Make very much money the first 2 years I was in real estate, but I made a lot as far as experience. I made a lot of money in experience points.
Right. Which adds up. It adds up. It compounds. It really does.
Successful in my business afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have the patience to do that,
Wow.
because a lot of people, I feel like a lot of real estate agents, they get their license and they're like, yeah, show me the money.
I love it.
Well, no, that's not how that works.
Yep.
I got the t-shirt. That's it.
Love it. I love it. You have the license to kill. You have the license to kill, but you're not quite James Bond yet.
Right. Exactly. Now you're going to learn, how the business works. And so I just think it's important for people to understand that, my job as a real estate agent, right, is not just putting a sign in the yard.
Mm-mm.
Right? That doesn't, okay, you got the sign in the yard. There's a lot more that goes into our business, as everyone well knows.
Sure.
So, it's just important to make sure that it works as efficiently and smoothly as possible.
I love it, Travis. And again, I love the fact that you're talking about constantly learning and then earning. I think that's just a key note for everybody who's been on the series is, never knowing it all and always taking it from different perspectives and doing it obviously for your mind, but then you can portray that to be the best version of yourself out there for the communities that you service. Having that credibility and knowledge, it doesn't happen overnight, but you want to constantly make an effort to move forward with that. Just as the messaging, the whole process is keep pushing, keep learning, keep growing. I just think it's perfect, Travis. And, as always, everybody, I'll have links in the comments down below so that you can feed your mind and follow the same principles that Travis is, or at least attempt to on your own. But Travis, I can't thank you enough. This has been chock full of amazing information, super inspiring, really compelling for all top real estate professionals, anybody who's starting out or seasoned. I really do want to wrap this whole thing up with a final question. And this one ends up being the quote or mantra that sums you up as a man, as a professional. What's that look like for Travis Blackman?
So I had a platoon sergeant when I was in the Army, and he would always tell us, right, in life, make mission happen, not excuses. And that really stuck with me over the years, and I still use it in real estate. I tell my clients that hey, I don't make excuses. I make mission happen, and that's and so I think that I really try to do that in my life. I'm not an excuse kind of guy. I give 120%. Right. My dad always said, if you're going to do something, do it well. Right.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And, and what I mean by that, not excuses, right? I can just speak for me personally, right? Sure. So in my business, it could have been very easy for me to go, oh, I'm paralyzed. So, I can't do anything anymore. And I'm just, sure. I don't want to go on with life, well, that's not who I am. And so, I instead of making excuses, oh, I can't do that. There's no way I could list that home because it's a tri-level home, right? And so I won't be able to get into I can't get downstairs, right? I mean, I am in a wheelchair, right? Gator isn't doing stairs anymore, right? Instead, okay, I had my assistant set up FaceTime, on our phones.
Yeah.
And he took me down into the basement, right? Showed me the areas that I wasn't physically able to see, right? He took me in the upstairs so I could get a good view of everything, right? And hey, guess what, Greg? I got the listing.
Love it.
I got the listing, right? And so, I luckily for us, we live in this age of technology, and I'm able to really take advantage of that, besides FaceTime, like HomeBot, right? I use that
Mhm.
quite a bit, just to make sure that there's 100% transparency for my clients, keeping them up to date on, hey, this is what your home's doing, this is what the current trends are happening in your market, um, and that kind of goes back to what I said earlier in the video. You want to stay in front of people's faces.
Oh,
I
so
got it.
true.
Don't be annoying. Like, oh, got it. You want to be, at the end of the day, when mom and pop go, hey, we're going to sell our house. Who should we call to sell? Travis Blackman. That's the goal. At the end of the day, you want to be
Right.
that person that pops up into their head, right? So
Mhm.
that's why I use stuff like HomeBot. Hey, I'm right in their face, and
Mm.
I'm keeping them updated on what's going on. Hey, this is what the housing trends are doing, in your market right now. This may be a good time to sell, or hey, maybe we can look at a possible investment property, because the trends are really happening right now,
Mm.
and so it's just where that's how you make it happen, right? Where like
Yep.
where there's a will, there's a way, Greg. So
I mean, Travis, you hit so many nails on the head when you're talking about everything that you're going through and what you represent there out in the community. And again, when you're talking about, no excuses and make mission happen, I know you're doing that on a daily basis with your clients and what's representing out there. And again, you're a perfect example of what people really need to look up to and say, hey, this is a guy that we need to really understand and try to apply some of this to our lives and our business. So Travis, beautiful example, my friend. Again, it's been an honor to have you on the show, and you are an official real estate titan. So I have to say that out for everybody. It is official. This man is a titan. There's no so, but thanks again, Travis. It was an honor to have you. There's no doubt.
thank you so much, Greg. I am, it was a pleasure to be on, and I really appreciate the opportunity to just kind of, share my story and, my, just kind of perspective on real estate from a disabled, standpoint.
Wow.
I just want to say to everyone out there watching, okay, if you're disabled or able-bodied, Greg, hey, you can still make it happen, okay? If an ugly guy like me can do it, all right.
Get out of here, man. You're the best, Travis. I love it. I love it. And everybody, thank you as well so much for your time and attention. Hopefully you really enjoyed this episode. I know that I did for sure. I have to give a shout out to our sponsor, Lion Bolt Media. So if you are looking to grow and scale your business digitally from the best and brightest minds, take a look at lionboltmedia.com. We are live with Real Estate Titans every Tuesday and Friday afternoon, a different Titan, a different location. We'll catch everybody in the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care. Thanks, Travis.
Bless, Greg.